Morning, everybody. I'm happy to have you at story time with me today. I have something very exciting to talk about. Do you know what this little guy is? It's a hermit crab. And this is what we are going to do for our activity. For now, let's go ahead and sing our hello song, and then we'll get into some books. And at the very end, I'll tell you how you can make your own hermit crab. All right. We clap and sing hello, we clap and sing hello. In our homes at story time, we clap and sing hello. We wave and sing hello, we wave and sing hello. In our homes at story time, we wave and sing hello. We stomp and sing hello, we stomp and sing hello. In our homes at story time, we stomp and sing hello. Great job! I am so proud of you for learning that song and singing it so well. All right, so remember I said we're going to talk about hermit crabs? Well, the first book I have for you guys is called The Hermit Crab, and it is by Carter Goodrich. And in this story, we are going to talk about a very, very courageous hermit crab. All right, let's get into it. Very pretty pictures. Where do you think this book takes place? That's right. If you said under the sea, you are so right. Let's move the video camera there a little bit so you guys can see the book a little better. Okay. The hermit crab in this story didn't set out to be a hero, and he wasn't particularly brave. He was actually very, very shy. Whenever all of his neighbors would get together, the hermit crab was happy to linger just out of sight. If anyone did happen to notice him, he would become terribly nervous and start to fidget. And then, if they should happen to say something like, "Hi," or "How's it going?" he would disappear deep into his shell without saying a word. He is a very shy hermit crab. So I wonder how this hermit crab ends up becoming courageous. It's hard being shy, nervous to meet new people, nervous to be in big crowds or the unknown. And in the sea, it is such a very, very large place with all kinds of different animals and plants. Being a little hermit crab in a big area could be very, very scary. Here's another picture of under the sea. Early one morning, just when the hermit crab's neighbors were sitting down to have breakfast, a large wooden contraption fell out of the sky and headed right for them. It bounced and clattered and finally came to rest, smack dab in the middle of town square. The hermit crab was off by himself, poking around in the sand, looking for something good to eat. "What in the world is it?" the starfish asked. "Some sort of new restaurant," the lobster replied. He was sniffing at the tasty aroma that was coming from inside of it. "Stay back," the bluefish warned. "I've seen things like this before. It smells like there's something good to eat inside. But don't be fooled. It's just a trap." "Hey," said the striped bass, "where's the flounder? Has anyone seen flounder?" What do you guys think? Do you think this is a restaurant or do you guys think it is a trap? We're going to have to read on to find out, but here are all of the sea creatures who are interested to find out the same answer. Let's find out. Nobody had seen the flounder. Did you see the flounder? He looks like he's stuck inside. Meanwhile, not too far away, the hermit crab had forgotten all about looking for food. He was sitting perfectly still on top of a rock, looking down at the most beautiful shell he had ever seen. He's talking about that guy. And here's the hermit crab way over here, just admiring. What is that? Can you guys tell me what that is? It looks like half of a superhero man. Not much of a shell, but I guess there is a hole down here. Wonder what the hermit crab can do with that. Very carefully, the hermit crab crept over to the fancy new shell, saw that it was empty, and decided right then and there to move in. It's even got moving parts, he thought to himself, and he felt very happy. Well, maybe this is how the hermit crab became so brave. Let's read on and find out. I'm still wondering if that crate was a trap or a restaurant, and what they're going to do about Flounder. So, back in the center of town, no one was happy. Help! Cried a voice from beneath the contraption. It's the Flounder, the lobster yelled. He's trapped underneath the restaurant. It's not a restaurant, said the blue fish. It's a trap, and the Flounder needs our help. Yeah, the crab shouted. The Flounder needs our help. Okay, the lobster said. Go ahead, but if that thing is some kind of trap, I'm not going near it. And then nobody said anything because they too felt the same way. Well, wait a minute, said the striped bass. Who is that? I wonder who they're talking about. That's right, it's the new hermit crab. He came stumbling out of the seaweed forest right into the center of town. What is that? He thought. He didn't notice the flounder, but he did notice the good smells, and that reminded him how hungry he was. He walked around the contraption, grabbing it and giving it a good shake. He wanted to get in to where that good smell was coming from. Mm-hmm. Everyone watched the mysterious stranger from the hidden place. Look, whispered the starfish. He's trying to rescue the flounder. Who is that? Yeah, the crab shouted. Who is that? That, cried the lobster, that is our brave champion, our hero. He's come to save us. Hermit crab? A hero? Well, that sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? And then all of a sudden the contraption moved. Then it moved again. And finally it began to float right back into the sky. The hermit crab was still clinging to its side. He let go at last and gently drifted back down. Three cheers for the hermit crab, right? But how do you think a shy hermit crab felt being the center of attention? You're right, it probably made him feel nervous, but he also probably felt really good for being brave and helping someone out. So, as the hermit crab drifted back down, he settled right on top of the flounder. The flounder is now free. Tried to thank the mysterious stranger, but the hermit crab drew himself into his new shell and hid. Everyone came rushing out of their hiding place, cheering for their hero. This excitement was just too much for the poor hermit crab. He curled up even tighter inside his new shell. Great, he thought. Now I'll never get to eat anything. Super nervous. The hermit crab's neighbors quietly and quickly organized a parade and carried their hero to their highest rock, where they carefully set him down for all to see. Then they celebrated late into the night. The hermit crab remained hidden from view. The whole night? Boy, He really is shy. Maybe it's his new shell. Hermit crabs find that their shells are like their homes. So when they're switching to a new shell or a new home, maybe that could make them very shy too, because they're in a new place. As soon as it grew quiet, the hermit crab slid out of the fancy new shell, and he tiptoed past his snoring neighbors and back through the seaweed forest until at last he found his worn out old shell right where he had left it. He wriggled back inside, and soon he fell asleep. I wonder if he got anything to eat after all. The next day the hermit crab made his way back to town. There, still perched on the top of the highest rock, was the fancy new shell, empty as the day he'd found it. But nobody in the crowd noticed. They were happy to cheer their new hero, while the lobster made speech after speech after speech. So the hermit crab just settled in, just beyond the edge of the crowd, right where he was most comfortable. He smiled to himself, and he even cheered the fancy new shell. But he cheered very softly and just a little bit. He didn't want to be noticed. He looks very happy. The end. So in the end, it ended up working out for the hermit crab. But he also got to have a new adventure, which can be very nervous, but very exciting. So I thought we could talk about the parts of a hermit crab. See here, I have a hermit crab, and he has two eyes, just like us. Can you guys point to your eyes? Very good. He also has legs. Do you see these back here? That's right, we have legs too. They look very different, of course, but we all have legs. Can you show me where your legs are? Great job! Now, something we don't have, a shell. So the shell is its protective layer and it's like its home. The crab can go inside of it and be very safe because it's a hard shell and it's his protective layer. Just like when we're scared, we go home. We're in our home, we're safe, and we're protected. Hermit crabs also have antennas and they have little claws like this. Can you guys pretend to have claws? Just put your little pinchers together. Very good. We can also walk like a crab. I'm going to have that in an activity list for you guys to do when I fill my bags this week. The bags will be available for you to pick up tomorrow and anytime through the week. It's going to have the activities that we talk about today and a snack. All right. Well, would you guys like to sing a song with me? That'd be great. Let's go ahead and sing If You're Happy and You Know It. You ready? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. What's next? That's right, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray! If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, shout hooray, hooray! Great job! I just love that song. It makes me so excited and so happy. All right, let's just calm ourselves back down and we'll get into our next book. I happen to have a a house for a hermit crab by Eric Carle. He's one of my favorite children's authors. He also writes The Very Hungry Caterpillar, which is one of my favorite books. So I'm very excited to read this one for you guys today. As you can see, he's got a really cool shell here. Here are his legs and his claws, and up here are his eyes and his antennae. So cool. Hermit crabs really are neat, aren't they? Well, let's see what we get into with a house for a hermit crab. "Time to move," said Hermit Crab one day in January. "I have grown too big for this little shell." He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the floor of the ocean. But it was very frightening out in the open sea without a shell to hide or be safe in. "What if a big fish comes along and attacks me?" he thought. "I must find a house soon." What do we have here? That's right, fish. Can you guys help me count the fish? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fish going right for the hermit crab. No wonder he's frightened. Let's find out what happens. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the right house he was looking for. It was a big shell and strong. He moved right in, wiggling and waggling all about inside to see how it felt. And it felt just right. But it looked so, well, so plain, thought the hermit crab. He must want something more fancy. What do you think? I think that it's a very nice shell, but I could see if he wants something a little bit more, well, shiny. Wonder what he does about it. In March, Hermit Crab met some new sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. Can you guys sway with me? Very good. "How beautiful you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to come and live on my house? It is just so plain and it needs you." "I'll come," whispered a sea anemone. Gently, Hermit Crab picked it up with its claw and put it on its shell. I bet that is going to look very fancy. Kind of like when we put flowers on our table and we have something very pretty to look at. So in April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the sea floor. "How handsome you are," said the Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to decorate my house?" "I would," signaled a little sea star. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with its claw and, of course, put it on his house. He's decorating his new home. These starfish are so cool looking. Can you help me count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. I wonder what else Hermit Crab finds for his home. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral. They were hard and they didn't move. "How pretty you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to help make my house more beautiful?" "I would," creaked a crusty coral. Gingerly, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Coral is very interesting. Comes in all different kinds of colors. And if you love to look at the ocean, you should research coral because they have really, really pretty pictures. Let's get back to Hermit Crab's house. In June, Hermit Crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris and leaving a neat path behind them. "How tidy and hard-working you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house?" "That's perfect, right?" "I would," offered one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Here are all the snails, and here is Hermit Crab's new house. He's got his anemone up there, coral, and his sea starfish, and now he's going to have one of these awesome snails. I think I need a snail to come help clean my house. Let's see what he finds next. It's July. Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. "How fierce you look," said Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to protect my house?" "I would," answered a spiky sea urchin. Gratefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it near its shell. So now he has a snail to clean, an anemone, a coral, and a starfish to help make it look beautiful, and a sea urchin for protection. How awesome! See how spiky they are? They really do look dangerous, don't they? By now you would think Hermit Crab's finished decorating his house, right? He couldn't possibly have any more room for stuff, could he? Let's find out. In August, Hermit Crab and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. "It's so dark in here," thought Hermit Crab. This is the forest of seaweed. It does look very dark. "How dim it is," murmured the sea anemone. "How gloomy it is," whispered the starfish. "And how murky it is," complained the coral. "I can't see," said the snail. "It's like a nightmare," cried the sea urchin. Oh no. What do you think they'll find in here to help them? It's September, and Hermit Crab spotted a school of lanternfish darting through the dark water. How awesome! Look at those lanternfish. They're absolutely perfect for Hermit Crab's house. "How bright you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to light up our house?" "I would," replied one lanternfish, and it swam over near his shell. In October, Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. "How sturdy you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would you mind if I rearranged you?" "Not at all," answered the pebbles. Hermit Crab picked them up one by one with his claw and built a wall around his shell. "Now my house is perfect," said Hermit Crab. Would you guys like to see his house? There's the lanternfish, the sea anemone, the coral, the snail, the sea starfish, the sea urchin, and here are the pebbles. He really did make his new house fancy. But in November, Hermit Crab felt that his shell seemed, well, a bit too small. Little by little over the year, Hermit Crab had grown, just like us. Soon he would have to find another, bigger home. But he had to come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. They have been so good to me, thought Hermit Crab. They are like a family. How could I ever leave them? What do you think Hermit Crab could do when he finds his new shell? Yes, that sounds like a great idea. Let's see if he does that. In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. "I have outgrown my shell," she said. "Would you know of a place for me?" "I have outgrown my house too," answered Hermit Crab, "and I must move on." "You are welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good friends." "I promise," said the little crab. So he is going to share his shell with a new friend he made. That following January, Hermit Crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. Couldn't stay in that little shell forever, said Hermit Crab as he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big, empty shell, and it looked, well, a little plain. But sponges, he thought, barnacles and clownfish and sand dollars, maybe even an electric eel. Oh, there are so many possibilities, and I can't wait to get started. This is his new, bigger shell. The end. So that is why I have a really awesome activity for you guys. You guys are going to have a chance to make this little guy like I showed you before. So we actually get to use our handprint and some googly eyes, and we get to make our own fancy shell. And just to make it super fun, you even get to have a sponge to sponge paint with. So on the sponge, I have lines for you guys to cut these into 4 sections. Once you have them cut into 4 sections, you will get your little cups of paint out and you will use them like dabbers. So in the bags, I'll have the paint and the sponges. And of course, we will have the googly eyes and the antenna, which is a pipe cleaner. You guys will need some glue and some tape, so hopefully you have those things at home. And then a piece of cardstock, which I cannot find at the moment. But the piece of cardstock, oh, it's up here, will come to you like this. And what you'll want to do is on half of it, you will want to trace a circle. After you trace this circle, you'll go ahead and cut it out, and this piece will be for your handprint. So once you have your half piece and your circle, you guys will draw a spiral on it, just like this crab right here. Do you see how he has a circle, a spiral in his shell? Perfect. So once you have that, you'll get to take your little sponge dabbers and you guys will just dab, dab, dab away at its shell. Once it dries, you'll cut out the shell, but as it's drying, you guys will get to do the crab part of the activity. So set your shell aside, let it dry, and then you're going to paint your hand red. After you paint your hand red, you guys are going to put it on the other half of the cardstock and then let it dry. So as you're letting that dry and the shell dry, go wash your hands real quick so you don't get any paint on them. And yes, it's a little messy, so make sure you put down a little tarp or a tray or something, whatever you guys use to keep the paint off of your table. Once you come back, the shell should be dry. So you'll cut out the shell into its circle like this, and it will have been decorated. And then you'll want to cut out your hand. Make sure you guys cut out in between the fingers so that it will have all the legs it needs. You will tape or glue, see in the back here, the shell together. So you'll slide your left thumb. Now make sure when you do your handprint that you use your left hand. That way this will work perfect. You'll slide your left thumb right in the back and glue it and attach it to the shell. Then you'll have this. You'll have almost a whole crab. But you need your eyes and the pipe cleaner. So you just take the pipe cleaner that I have for you in the bag, fold it to make the letter V, that's right. A little dab of glue, and then your 2 googly eyes. And again, attach that onto the back of your hand, and you've got your very own house for a hermit crab. Once you guys are done with that activity, I'll have a few other goodies in the bag, like this color by number crab, which is a lot of fun. And I'll also have a sequencing activity for you and a snack. All right, well, I'm glad you guys came here with me today. I hope you really enjoyed it. I will see you guys next week. Bye.